All of my friends, they were married at the age of 14, 15, and right now they have kids, one, two kids. So busy taking the responsibilities of adult in their mid 30s. I met this 18 years old girl, and I got to, and this is very weird how I came across her. She came to Mela, and I just saw her wearing sindoor and pote and chura. So I caught her hand and I said, "You need to tell me your story."
I mean, like most of us are like living in the city, Kathmandu, Bhaktapur, Lalitpur, Armasa, and then we don't really see as much cases of child marriage in our city. So I think that's a reason why we don't really talk about it, or it doesn't look like a big thing, but
it's very important that they delay the pregnancy and continue the education. So it was also requested to local health worker to provide free contraceptives.
There's a lot of responsibilities that comes along, but you feel this sort of freedom that you're making your own choices, you make your own decisions, and at the end of the day, even if it turns bad or good or whatever, it will be your decision at least, and you can carve your own life and other people won't be making decisions for you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 14 of Bhanna Baki. We're back again with another episode. And today we have Prashansha KC with us. I am Palisha.
Hi, my name is Pooja.
And I will let Prashansha to introduce herself.
Hello, Namaste, everyone. My name is Prashansha KC. I'm a social activist and a filmmaker fighting against child marriage and for the empowerment of the women.
Thank you, Prashansha. So today's topic is child marriage, and Prashansha is here with us to share the stories, share the experiences she has had, the things she has seen, and just talk about her activism in general. So take it away, Prashansha.
Thank you so much, Felicia. Well, I think it is my absolute honor to talk about stories in Nepal and stories in Rukum about child marriage, because child marriage has been such a big part of our society, because a lot of our parents, they were married at an early age. So it is still a very, very big part of our society, of who we are and how we are raised. And talking about the place I come from, it's Rukum. And in Rukum, there is 80% child marriage. And all of my friends, I'm 19, I'm going to turn 20 very soon. All of my friends, they were married at the age of 14, 15. And right now they have kids, one, two kids. And my girlfriends who were married are housewives, and they are not going to college. They do not have any source of income generating skills. And all of my male friends, they have gone to Gulf country to earn livelihood for their their family. So at such a young age, where they should focus on their career, what they want to be in the future, and what kind of human being they want to portray themselves in the future, they are so busy taking the responsibilities of adult in their mid 30s. Worrying about how to feed your family is something you should worry in your late 20s or in your mid 30s, when your brain, when your body is prepared to do that. In an early age of like 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, you should focus on yourself. But then that's what child marriage does. It takes things away from you. And I would really like to give a little bit of background to our audience, and Pooja and Palisa too. These are the stories that I got to come across when I was doing my research on kidnap marriage and child marriage. I was in a mela. In Rukum, there is this mela that happens annually. It is called Pach Purnima Mela. That happens after fifth moon, and it is a gigantic mela. And in place like Rukum, melas are very much valued, because those are the only source of getting together and having fun and getting entertained once in a year. So everyone from 3-4 hills away from, they walk for hours to come to that mela. And I was there trying to observe people, trying to observe what I needed for my research. And I met this 18 years old girl, and I got to, and this is very weird how I came across her. She came to Mela, and I just saw her wearing sindoor and pote and sura. So I caught her and I said, you need to tell me your story, like straightforward. And she said to me, she shared to me that she was married at 15, and the guy came to her house and asked for her hand, and her parents gave her away. And at 18, she could not give a child to him. So her husband thinks that she's infertile. And because of that only fact, he has left her and gone to India. And she's so suppressed in that marital, relationship, that she don't have her own citizenship certificate. He has not allowed her to get the Nagarikta. And in Nepal, you can get Nagarikta in the name of either with your father's name or your husband's name, or your mother's name too. But then the husband has threatened the entire family by saying, if you allow her to get the Nagarikta, I'm gonna divorce her. So it's gonna get ruined and you have to pay the price. And because of that threat, she cannot get Nagarikta and therefore cannot start her own business of Silai Katai to generate finance for herself. So she is 18, she has not passed SLC, she cannot do an income generating activity to sustain herself. Her husband has already left her and she thinks she's infertile at the age of 18. It's an age where you have to think about your future. I'm 19 and I can think about all the ways I can be independent woman and be skilled women. That's what you should be thinking at the age of 18. But then child marriage had put her into a very difficult position. So that's what child marriage does to you. Apart from that, another form of child marriage, apart from forced child marriage, is runaway child marriage that you do in the name of love. When you're growing and you develop biologically attraction to another person, be it same sex or opposite sex, or so these young teenagers of 12, 13, 14 years old, they fall in love for the first time and they don't know the concept of relationships, so they run away and they do child marriage and they do not know the cost of their decision. So one of the example of that runaway child marriage was of my own friend. She got married when she was 14, and then at 15 she had miscarriage due to hard labor work that she did during her pregnancy. And that's kind of heartbreaking, because miscarriage in itself is very heavy for people who are mature to handle. It creates a lot of trauma, and to go through that at the age of 15 in itself is a huge deal. So these are the stories that I come across every time I do my research, because it happens every year. But due to COVID, I haven't been able to keep up in 2020 and 2021. But prior to that, every year from 2017, 16, I went there, and this kind of stories come across in me. And it is very important that we talk about these things and get aware about these things, and maybe do something from our own position of whatever profession we are from to help the situation, because these are our own sisters, these are the women of our country or teenage girls of our country. So yeah, thank you, Felicia and Pooja, for giving me platform to share this story.
Of course. Keep on. So I mean, like most of us are like living in this city, Kathmandu, Bhaktapur, Lalitpur, Armasa, and then we don't really see as much cases of child marriage in our city. So I think that's a reason why we don't really talk about it, or it doesn't look like a big thing. But then again, time and again, we need to like remind ourselves that city is not the entire country, and city ko like social status problems do not define the entire country ko situation. I know, and I can relate to like a lot of stories you've been saying. I know I do have so many cousins, mid-age or who are younger than me, who have kids and who are just housewives right now, and that makes me really, really sad, because say like if I can do it, and if I can come all the way to this point, I know they could have done it too. So
Exactly.
yeah, it's just super sad.
Right.
And I think we should talk about this more. And thank you, actually, Prashansha,
Yeah.
for doing so
I
much.
mean, uh, I appreciate that. You know, I mean, it's not just about your cousin or somebody police also know, I am sure, who has committed child marriage. And it's not just about my friends we have gone to Gulf countries or our housewife. It's about all of us because it affects the economy of a country. Because those manpower could have been a skilled manpower for our state, but no, because of child marriage, they just are somewhere else. And I think it is the issue of the entire country, and I think everybody should take, some sort of initiative on this problem. Like, if it wasn't for child marriage, we could have very fast, smooth development in Rukumen itself, to talk about.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Pooja.
I was just gonna ask about her project. If you were if you're gonna talk about the same topic, otherwise we can start talking about project, what she did. Yeah.
What motivated you and like?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's start with motivation. I think that would be a great start to the entire story. So my personal motivation was when I was very young, I saw my 14 years old aunt being victim of kidnap marriage. And kidnap marriage has been a very prominent part of my society, and of course who I am, and it's a very prominent part of my culture too. So I think I remember it was I was very young, and I was still trying to figure out how adult function, that part of the childhood. Like, you look up to people and you say, oh, okay, yeah, that's how, like, simple thing, washing clothes, washing dishes, like, you observe that. I think that was my phase of time when I saw this. So my aunt got kidnapped, and I knew at that time, out of all things, that it wasn't right. You cannot force someone into marriage. And she was kidnapped by 23 years old man, and she was forced to marry him just because he had touched her and taken her to his house. And I wanted to stop that marriage, but I couldn't because I was young. And I still remember attending her diva, marital ceremony, and I was there and watching her, go away in Doli. At that time, Dolis were very famous, and I was just like, why? Like, why did that happen? I was in a great question. And that story stuck with me, and I couldn't forget that fact. It was really traumatizing to me. And I always wanted to do something about it, but I always found myself incapable of speaking up. Until I turned 15 years old, I told my dad, Bua, we need to do something about it, because there are still teenage girls who are going through forceful marriage, and no one is doing anything about it. And I think I have to do something. And my Bua said, okay, let's do it. So we did our research, and we designed a campaign, and then we started doing awareness campaigns against child marriage and kidnap marriage. That was actually the start of the entire story of my social activism. And that happened in 2017. Along with social activism, I was also making documentaries to portray the stories of Rukum, because out of all the districts in Nepal, Rukum is one of the most underlooked district, and the stories are still unheard, and it is hiding somewhere in the big gigantic hills of itself. And so it was very important for me to let the concerned authority know that, hey, look, there is 80% child marriage here. There's still like just kidnap marriage, and lives of young girls are in threat. Their dreams are not given importance. You need to do something. That needed to be told to concerned authorities, and that was the sole motivation to make documentaries. And in the part of campaign and how it happened was, we actually divided the awareness campaign in 3 parts. According to the age group. So there was one for the teenagers in the school. There was one for the parents through in collaboration with Ama Samuha. And there was one for the elderly people who cannot come to the program. So we went to their household through Gardolo program. And out of those 3 approaches, we went to people and to teenagers. We taught about, First thing that we taught was self-defense. Like if someone comes to kidnap you, how are you going to fight back? So self-defense was taught to young girls. Apart from that, we also taught them about what is marriage, what is the concept of relationship, because that is yet to be understood, to protect them from runaway or love child marriage. And we also educated them about what actually is child marriage and what are they signing up for, and what are the sacrifices they have to make, because those things kind of become vague when you are young and are pushed into marital affairs. And apart from that, we also taught them about reproductive education, conception, and contraceptives, and all the health related thing. And that was actually done by our local health worker. We collaborated with what do they call? I forgot the term. Swasthya Karmi ra Swayamsevika. We collaborated with them to educate them about health related thing, and we also let them know that if they got forced into child marriage, and it's very important that they delay the pregnancy and continue the education. So it was also requested to local health worker to provide free contraceptives to them in order to delay the pregnancy. So those kind of efforts were made in collaboration with local authorities and us. And in terms of awareness program to Ama Bua, through Ama Samoa, we educated them about child psychology and possibility. It was in a village, when someone with a good job, stable job, and with okay-ish life come and ask for hand of their daughter who is 14-15 years old, parents actually marry her off in the name of stable job. Oh, he earns okay, he goes to Japan and he earns, so let me marry my daughter to her, even though he's like 10-15 years older than her. So that is very, very, very popular in Rukum especially. So it was very important for us to make them realize that their kids are much more than just marriage. Their daughters are much more than marrying a guy who goes to Gulf countries or foreign countries and earn money. And they are their own person, and it is very important for parents to know that too, right? So that kind of approach was taken in terms of educating Ama and Bua about that. And in elderly people were very stubborn, and it was very hard for me to like approach them because they were like twice, thrice of my age, and so it was very important for me to take help of other elderly people in the village and ask them to come and speak on our behalf. So we also educated Hazurba Hazurama, who also have a very big role in decision making process of the house in village, to let them understand that hey, you need to educate your grandchildren. And a lot of the time, and I still remember Hazurba Hazurama telling me, पढे लेखेर के हुन्छ, विवाह गर्यो भने खेती किसानी गर्छन्, आफ्नो जिन्दगी अगाडि सार्छन्. Those are the things like I had to hear while dealing with Hazurba Hazurama. But then we also like read them the booklets and all the statistics, like hey, this happens, यति दरले यस्तो भइरहेछ, अनि तपाईले आफ्नो के रे नाति नातिनाको भविष्य त बनाउनु पर्यो. And like more gentle and more soft approach was taken in terms of dealing with elderly people. That happened. Apart from that, it was very important for us to reach a higher mass, so we also collaborated with local radios to spread awareness in terms of child marriage, and they were very supportive of it. Not only that, if someone forcefully does your child marriage in Rukum, you have to write nivedan to get the legal help, right? So I went to the local district police, and like I checked out how many lawsuit has been passed in child marriage, in forceful child marriage, because if there is 80% child marriage, and prior to checking the numbers, I had a meeting with district DSP, And he told me that there is 80% child marriage in Rukum. So it was very important that I go and check the list. Okay, if there is 80% child marriage, then there must have been a lot of lawsuit that has been passed against child marriage, because child marriage is crime in Nepal. I went to check on the list, and in last 4 years, there were only 3 cases registered. So I was very shocked. Why aren't people filing the lawsuit? Uh, and that's when it triggered me that maybe the legal process is not approachable. That's why they are not taking the help. And that's when I went to talk with CDO and mayor of the district, and we conversated about how we can make it approachable to people. And they did come up with programs where they were to send, and this already happened prior to I went there, they were to send police officers to every school and, befriend with students and say, hey, we are your friends, and if something happened to you, you can come to us. They had amazing approach already going on. And so that was the entire campaign. And I think brief about the campaign, because there's so much that goes inside and the details, and that's what all the things I said is all I can remember right now. And about the documentary part, which is also a different dimension, yet very important part of the work. We did make documentaries on the lives of kidnapped marriage victims, and also on the functioning of the entire campaign, so that other teenagers of my age who want to do the similar kind of campaign can be educated. Oh, okay, so I did it in this way, or this construct, or in this functioning. And I think that could be helpful for someone else's campaign to take reference from. And I uploaded it on YouTube, and a lot of my friends were like, hey, you did it this way, I also want to do this in my own village. And maybe I had one friend saying, I want to do it in Gorkha, I want to do in a village near to Kathmandu. So that was one of the main motive of the documentary, to educate, aware, and help other teenagers like me who wants to bring change and meet the reference. So yeah, I think I covered it all. That's about my campaign.
It's so amazing. You've done so much work at such a young age. It's impressive. I do want to mention last time when I think we met for a webinar, you mentioned that the reason why children, or the reason why just young people in general don't want to file, just as said, lawsuits or go against or rebel in any way to their parents is because they're their parents, right? You can't go against your own family.
Yeah.
So do you want to elaborate on that? What kind of mindset do they have, or do they feel alone? Do they not know where to seek help?
Right. So one thing about us Nepalis, we are very close to our parents, and we literally consider them as a god, them as God, and which they are. And we live with our parents for very long period of time, our entire adult life. We have that kind of construct. So it's very, very hard to go against someone who has been feeding you for last 18 years of your life, or 15 years of your life, or as long as you can remember, right? Who are you going to pass lawsuit to? Your husband? You can do that. And then where are you going to go? You pass the lawsuit, your husband goes to jail. Now you have to go to your Maitigar, which is very big insult in itself. And if you go to your Maitigar, your dad has gone to jail, because he's also part of the forceful marriage, right? Now who is going to earn for the family? So it's a very, very complicated equation, where you're not only alone, but then you are stuck. Because if you're going to file your lawsuit, it's going to be your own very close people, your father, your mama, or maybe your ama, auntie, fupu, who brings the relationship or proposal to you, right? Hey, I know this guy who goes to Japan and he earns so much of salary, so marry your daughter to him. These are the fupus and aunties and all these people. So you're going to send them to jail. So it's a very complicated construct, and I have come across this many times. How can we resolve it? Because making laws and saying, hey, if you do this, we're going to put you jail in these many years. I think it's a very straightforward thing to say. And that's how authorities work, right? They work with papers, and they work with rules, and they work with numbers. They don't see emotions, right? But I think, as an activist who had been very close contact with the emotional journey of my victims, and my community and what I do, it's very important for me that I make sure that I come in peace with their internality, and they are comfortable doing what they do, right? So it's a very, very complicated equation, and I'm still trying to figure it out. And for this particular, I think, for this one particular complicated scenario, in local authority, they have this one body they have established, and I don't know the exact term, but I'll let you know what does that body do. The work of that body is, you don't pass the lawsuit, but then they negotiate, मिलाइदिनु के नेगोसिएसनबाट कुरा मिलाइदिनु। त्यो लसुटमा जाँदैन, त्यो लसुट भन्दा अलिकति तल्लो लेभलमा हुन्छ, त्यो चाहिँ महानगरपालिकाले चाहिँ त्यसलाई ह्यान्डल गर्छ, म्युनिसिपालिटी ह्यान्डल्स द्याट बडी। त्यसले चाहिँ कुनै किसिमको झैझगडा भए वा कसैलाई केही नराम्रो भएमा त्यसलाई लसुट भन्दा अगाडि नै त्यसलाई यदि मिलाउन सकिन्छ भने त्यो बडीमा चाहिँ पठाइदिन्छ के। अनि मैले महिला सेलको जिल्ला पुलिस कार्यालयको महिला सेलसँग कुरा गर्दाखेरि पनि उहाँले के भन्नुभएको थियो भन्दाखेरि, मलाई हामी चाहिँ कति केसेसहरू आउँछ हामी यहीँ मिलाइदिएर चाहिँ पठाइदिन्छौँ, लसुट चाहिँ जाँदैन। जस्तै केटाले केटी भगायो अरे, अन्तर्जातीय विवाहको चाहिँ आउँदो रहेछ कि कुराहरू, त्यहाँ जातीय विवाह भयो भने चाहिँ आउँदो रहेनछ, अन्तर्जातीय होइन, तल्लो जातको केटाले अलिकति माथिल्लो जातको केटीलाई भगाइदियो भने चाहिँ त्यतिखेर चाहिँ आउँदो रहेछ कि पुलिसमा कुरा। अनि त्यस्तो भएको खण्डमा चाहिँ हामी कुराकानी मिलाइदिन्छौँ अनि हामी पठाइदिन्छौँ, सो द्याट नेगोसिएसनमै दे एन्ड रहेछ क्या त्यो कुराहरू। So that is also one of the approach local authorities have been taking, but it's a very complicated process in terms of filing a lawsuit. It's not comfortable to just write a lawsuit in Rukum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one of the why reasons, like that poverty, Kitty, I mean, daughters are say like they're taken as burden for the family. Always male figures are working, making money for the family. So having said that, I think it's also important, along with the awareness and education, I think like there needs to be a way to like help them financially, but then again we run into this circle, okay, like about women are like financially, if they're not able to support family, like how is their family gonna do well economically, you know? And then suppressed, and then again child marriage, and this circle just repeats, I know. So like, what do you guys think about this? Like, how can we like break this circle, or like overall just help women, I think, be more active in finance, cargo, so that overall situation is better, and they probably are not seen as burdens for the family. They don't have to like marry their daughters off, because I think we really need to understand like where these people are coming from. We can't just say, oh, they're just marrying their daughters off to people who are making a lot of money. They probably have reasons, I know. So like, how do we figure that out? Or like, do you guys like know anything?
So I think before illiteracy and poverty, there comes this gigantic thing that we need to understand, and that is social construct. How is the society has been functioning, right? I used to think it's illiteracy. मान्छेहरु educated छैन, उहाँहरुले पढ्नु भएको छैन, त्यही भएर त बाल विवाह हुन्छ होला नि. That was my first misunderstanding about this entire problem. And then I knew I was wrong when I went to Gardoilo, through Gardoilo program. I went to household of teacher's household, and there I got to learn that the teacher who was teaching in secondary school of the village, he had already married off 2 of his daughters at an early age of 15 and 16. So teacher is one of the most educated person in the village, right? He's responsible for the future of rest of the children in the village. And he himself have committed child marriage of his own daughter. And to whom did he gave his daughter away was two of the guys, and they have foreign employment job, which in a village is considered that they earn very much. Like that's the concept. So what you said is right. I think as a primary concept of parents is they just want their daughter to have no crisis in the future. हामी जुन अभावमा हुर्क्यौँ मेरो छोरी चाहिँ त्यो अभावमा नहुर्कियोस् भन्ने चाहिँ आई थिङ्क सबै पेरेन्ट्समा हुने त्यो एउटा प्राइमेरी कन्सेप्ट हो होइन. सो आई थिङ्क त्यसले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ सुरुमै कस्तो भयो भन्दाखेरि एउटा कुरा कस्तो भयो भन्दाखेरि डर भयो. त्यसको डर भन्दाखेरि एउटा उमेरमा छ कोही लफङ्गो केटासँग भागेर जान्छ कि भन्ने एउटा डर होइन. अनि त्यो डरलाई चाहिँ फर्दर सपोर्ट के गर्यो त भन्दाखेरि यो भागेर जानुभन्दा अगाडि नै म एउटा राम्रो कमाउने केटा, चाहे त्यो 10 वर्ष ठुलो किन नहोस् होइन, राम्रो कमाउने केटा, स्टेबल होम भएको जसले उसलाई पाल्न सकोस्, उनीहरूको बालबच्चालाई हेर्न सकोस्, त्यसलाई बरु भेटाएर म विवाह गरेर पठाइदिन्छु. सो त्यो त मोर सेक्योर भयो नि त. कुनै एउटा हुन्छ नि जागिर नभएको केटासँग भागेर जानु भन्दा त एउटा परिपक्व कमाउनेसँग पठाइदिन्छु. सो त्यो चाहिँ एकदमै पपुलर छ कि यो कल्चर के. सो यसलाई न त पोभर्टी पनि नभनौँ, किनभने टिचर भनेपछि पोभर्टी हुँदैन. उहाँलाई नेपाल सरकारले एकदम ह्यान्डसम स्यालेरी पे गरेर हुन्छ जो भिलेजको लाइफस्टाइलमा इट्स इनफ. पोभर्टी त होइन, इलिट्रेसी पनि होइन, सायद एउटा समाज चल्ने एउटा सोसियल कन्स्ट्रक्ट हो कि भन्न चाहिँ सकिन्छ. अब यसमा कहाँनिर कमजोरी भयो भन्दाखेरि बाबा आमाले चाहिँ छोरीको भविष्य र पोसिबिलिटीलाई चाहिँ हेर्न बिर्सिनु भयो कि. अब यो विवाह भागेर जान्छ, स्टेबिलिटी, फ्युचर, उहाँहरूले चाहिँ कहाँनिर फोकस गर्न बिर्सिनु भयो भन्दाखेरि छोरीलाई पढाउँछु होइन, डिप्लोमा होस् वा ब्याचलर्स होस्, आफूले जति सकिन्छ उसलाई एउटा जागिरी खुवाउँछु. अनि त छोरी आफै परिपक्व भइहाल्छ नि, अनि आफैले पैसा कमाउन सक्छ, आफूलाई पाल्न सक्छ. भन्छन् नि she can be a rich man, they don't have to find a rich man for her, she can be her own rich man. I think त्यो लेभलको कन्सेप्ट डेभलपमेन्ट चाहिँ अझै आवश्यकता छ र त्यसमै पनि हामीले क्याम्पेन्सद्वारा चाहिँ जोड दिएको हो कि अहिले आतिएर कसैसँग पठाउनु भन्दा आफ्नो छोरीलाई चान्स दिनुहोस् न, पढाउनुहोस्. लोकसाको जागिरी खाएपछि त महिनामा 30,000 कमाइहाल्छ नि, जो भिलेज लाइफमा एकदम इनफ अमाउन्ट अफ मनी हो. सो त्यो लेभलमा चाहिँ हामीले त्यसलाई चाहिँ डिल गरिरहेछौँ.
To answer Pooja's question, I do have like a comment to make. I think Nepalma, we just give too much importance to marriage overall, not just for women. And the second thing is, like, your business is everybody's business. That's how like things work. Like if a person is getting married in your locality, then it becomes the talk of the town. So I think that needs to stop happening. And that is why I think this issue is there.
I gotta ask you a question, and I think it's very important. And we are like 3 young, very ambitious ladies on the table, and it's very important that we discuss. I mean, I'm living in Nepal right now, and I'm gonna turn 20 in May, and that's an age, and I already like kind of feel pressured that okay, after maybe 5-6 years, I have to stand in that position where I have to deal with the word marriage, in maybe certain way, maybe not directly, but maybe back of the head. Do you feel that? Because, you guys are in completely different, place right now than where I am. So do you feel that sort of, I wouldn't say pressure, but the existence of that fact, I want to deal with my dreams and ambition and the girl I want to become. That's my core priority. But then I can see there's like, the existence of that thing maybe in the corner of the room. Do you feel that or not?
I personally do. Well, I'll let Pooja answer this because I have a lot to say about this.
No, I want to hear more.
Please.
Okay, so for
this, but I ignore it. I think like that works perfectly for me. Because I'm far, and it just works.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so
it works, right?
But for me, I personally belong to a very, very conservative, like Newar family, and I've seen cousins and like my cousins in my family who were married according, like who were married, who had arranged marriages and who lived a very happy life. And my mother used to give that example since I was a kid. And maybe she never thought that this could be also be an option. That a woman living her own life, having her own independence could be a thing. And I think that's still an ongoing conversation, but there is that, I wouldn't say pressure, but there are expectations from the family that
Right.
after you reach a certain age, then this has to happen. And
Exactly.
that's why me and my mom, we have a lot of debates this Kobaima, but that does happen a lot. And I could do an entire episode about how toxic my community is when it comes to
Right, right, right.
women. I want to share one thing. When I was in 8th grade, I remember there was this guy, I think 25 years of age, and his mom came to my mom and like literally put a proposal. I think we we're at like a party setting or
Right.
something, and I felt so disgusted. I was in 8th standard, and what's the audacity of those people to come to a mom and say those things? So they think that
Right.
women have just one job, to look pretty and to get married. That's it. That's
Exactly.
the thinking that the society has. I mean, I'm not sure about the community ko bare, but that's what I've seen in my community at least, and that is really really bad. That needs to change. That really needs to change. अनि अहिलेसम्म पनि यो मेन्टालिटी गएको छैन के. That's
Right.
like, I remember when I was about to come to the US. I remember my like aunt. I'm not gonna say the exact relationship I have with her, but like very close family. She said that now when you go, just find a very rich guy and like so you can get married and settled. I'm going to the US on my own merit, right? And I wish I could punch her in the face. That's the kind of,
Exactly.
yeah.
Mm.
And
One
Those are
thing
the things we have
is
to deal with.
sorry.
Mm.
Um,
Like, not personally, my parents, they. Sorry.
no, I'm sorry. No, you go ahead. I'm sorry. My bad.
Okay. So, my parents personally, they have never ever brought this word marriage to me. And because I think they are very, very open minded in terms of my growth. But then, I go to community and I talk with people about marriage, right? And I hear them say so many things, and what you just said, like the work of or the job of girls and women is to look pretty and then marry, right? That's how we've been portrayed. And no, that's not enough. Our society gotta give us better environment where we can flourish and bloom. Too, I'm like मलाई personally directly कसैले नभने पनि I know it exists in the darkest corner of the room, and someday I have to come across it, and I don't want to deal with it. I got my dreams, I have so many plans to deal with. And you know what, Felicia, this is not the problem of you and me and Pooja. There are so many of my friends who are going through same things, and you know what approach they take in order to solve this problem? Right after they finish their bachelor, they want to go to abroad, maybe America, Europe, Australia, so they can skip marriage. And that's like something of a very hard step that we have to take. Maybe if our society could just accept us and be like, hey, be who you are, be the person you want to become, you have all the space, and we're not going to interfere by the word marriage, I think we would develop ourselves as young women, independent women, in a lot more faster rate than what we are already doing. Over to you, Pooja.
Yeah, come on. So, to be honest, I don't think it's just enough to be independent, enough to like as Felicia said, you came here based off of your merits, right? Was that respected? No. Like, the comments are passed corner, like to somebody asking you to get married to someone better than you. Like qualifications go respect गरेको क्या. So I think even if like girls went to school, धेरै पढाए पनि लेखाए पनि, I think this problem will still exist. So women are like respect नगर्ने and just asking them or forcing them to get married. जबसम्म चाहिँ we don't fight patriarchy and this imbalance भनौँ न womenहरूलाई चाहिँ जति गरे पनि there's no के भने end to this के हैन अब we compared नि हैन like education नभएको हरुको problem र like अब हामीहरु तीनजनाको हामीले what we're dealing you know we're kind of in the same page हाम्रो like जस्तो background so yeah that's another thing to like look at I think
this is the difference you know we have a voice and we know exactly how to communicate what we want and what we deserve and what our rights are. But then the problem is young girls are going through exact same problem, but then a lot more younger ages of in their early teenage or maybe late teenage, and they don't have voice like ours to speak up. They're not educated about their rights to say, hey, this is what I deserve, please do not interfere in my life. They don't have this kind of voice to speak up. And that's why they are forced into something like child marriage with a guy who's like 10 years, 15 years older than her. And I wish we can actually help those young girls to, how to speak up for themselves. We would save them. Just like we have saved ourselves.
Yeah.
But is speaking up for yourself enough? Like, what if your family doesn't understand? किनभने again हैन पढेर के गर्छ लेखेर के गर्छ त मैले कति सुनेको छ हैन लाइक बच्चैदेखि सुनेको कुरा हो मेरो रिलेटिभ्स बाट हैन so what if मैले चाहिँ like मेरो parents they stood strong against that के भन्छ comment हैन that they thought पढेर लेखेर के हुन्छ so I'm here, But what if my parents would be influenced and त्यो कुरा त्यस्तो कुराहरुले अरूको कमेन्ट्सहरु easily influence हुने भए त पढाइ लेखाइ दिए पनि like मेरो like it would have ended like very shortly के अनि what if I was पढाइ लेखाइ भए पनि like not everyone can speak for themselves I would be forced to like do what my parents like decide for me so I think there are so many girls out there I've seen it who have finished all their school and college and then they're still 18 17 when they finish high school and they get married right after high school to say मैले city मै देखेको stories so yeah again we have different backgrounds but the way like we're ending is kind of similar.
I want to interrupt Isma. Just as you said that you've seen that in cities as well. I like this past 2-3 months I came across almost 4 or 5 of my schoolmates who have kids. And I didn't even know they were already married and like they have now like 2 or 3 years olds. So that was very shocking to me. I want to mention maybe because some of them might have made this choice consciously because since like a very young age, parents, society sells this dream to women that this is the ideal way to live. You're going to have kids. That's the ultimate happiness. And you're going to have a household. That's the way it should be. And you're going to be very happy. There's going to be a man who will love you. So they haven't even been shown the other option maybe. So consciously I've seen, they look happy. Maybe that's the definition of happiness for them, but they will never know what life would have been like if they'd chosen another path. So I think this needs to stop happening. Just selling women dreams, like girls, these dreams that, oh, you're going to get married, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, and kind of like trying to structure them accordingly. That needs to stop. Because I've seen women who have consciously decided to get married at a very young age. And in no means like I'm trying to like say that that's very bad, but it's like they haven't even seen the other side of other opportunities.
Yeah, Prashansha you should know what you signed up for, at least.
Yeah. And what you've just said, it's the entire cycle the Rukum is trapped in. That is the exact cycle Rukum is trapped in. What you said is you need to see the other side or another angle other than just marriage. And a lot of the women in my community have not seen the other angle. They have just seen the kids and, life and then growing old and then you die. Like that's the construct that has been already built. They have not seen independent women. And that's when it was very important for me to work on the scholarship program, they need to see exemplary women, they need to see young girls who have become nurses and doctors in their own, in their own, what do you say, merit, like you used the term before. And that's what we need to see. And I made the proposal ready, but then I'm still looking for the collaborators with whom I can work on that particular thing, where we can educate and make young girls from Rukum, especially from the communities that I'm working on, make them independent and strong. And they can be example in the village and be like, hey, look, I studied, now I earn for myself, I don't need man to sustain me. And let me put another idea or another point to you, that Rukum has a very high rate of domestic violence. And when I was talking with the district CDU, he told me that two of the major problems of the district is, one is child marriage and another is alcoholism. What do they say? Like they drink alcohol and they get high and then they go home and they beat their wife. And that is very, very highly practiced, culture in my community. And why does that happen? Because women are not financially stable. They cannot look for themselves. And when you are not financially stable and when you cannot, earn for yourself or look after yourself, you have to depend on your husband. And that do not give you the privilege to divorce or get separated from the abusive man who abuse you every evening or every night of the day. So there are a lot of things, and it's very important that we create exemplary women in this community to actually, educate what Felicia said.
Yeah, I want to divert the topic a little. I know you want to talk about the whole filmmaking process and how you've used that platform to showcase what's happening in Rukum and just show your campaigning and all that stuff. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think this goes to a little bit more personal level, because I love telling stories and I love the art of making film. And there are so many stories that I want to tell, and they are more related with child marriage. And not only that, but culturally what Rukum has to offer. And I'm very much connected. I think this is like completely different angle, if I have to introduce and more like softer part of my heart, where I'm connected with the art. I really want to show the local bagas of Rukum in one way or another, and show what actually Rukum is made of. I was born and raised there, and so I'm really connected with the place, and I've been raised by that place. So that was actually the initial inspiration to show what Rukum has to offer through the filmmaking. And then I got to learn more and more about the art. And right now I'm actually working on 2 of my films. It's in pre-production right now, and hopefully the film will be ready at the end of 2021. One is about mental health and another is about child marriage. And films are very important because a lot of the films are not made in Rukum. The stories are still unheard, and we need to make the stories heard, especially stories of child marriage and kidnap marriage. And I'm working hard to make that happen.
That's really, really awesome. I personally also believe that films can change lives. It is a reflection of the society, and vice versa, actually. If you show, if I've seen even the Bollywood movies that the way they are, it's like vice versa. The way you show sexism or the way you just showcase women in general, that works both ways, and it's really, really awesome that you're doing this. Hopefully we'll get to see your books, and I really can't wait to watch it.
Yeah,
good luck.
I can't wait to show you. I'm really pumped up about that.
Pooja, do you have any other questions?
I don't know. I'm still just processing everything, thinking about this, because it's been long. Because when it was in my mind, and now I'm away. That was like out of sight, out of mind. But thank you again for bringing this up.
Yeah, I can ask you one question. I think it's very important, not only for me, but I think for other young girls in Rukum. So I know Felicia is about to graduate. Pooja, when are you graduating?
I still have a good year left.
Good year. Yeah, maybe this is a question to Felicia and you also. How does it feel to, like, you are at the end of getting a bachelor degree, which is such a big deal? Because now we know that wherever you go, you're not going to be hungry, and no one can, force you into anything, because you can speak up, and you have finance, which is such an important aspect of our life to support your decision and what you decide for yourself. How does it feels to be at that end of the life? Because I'm still in my first year of bachelor's. I'm studying civil engineering, and I have so much plans, but at the end of the day, I also get scared. I'm an activist, but then at the end of the day, I also get scared. Like, what if something happens and all my dreams and all my plans that I want for myself get, destroyed? Like, because I'm not secured on my own. I still don't have a, skill on me to sustain for myself. How does it feel to be on that end and be like, hey, I've got a skill, I can look up for myself?
I want to answer that in a very, very weird way, if you will. Would a man think the same way? Would a boy of your age think the same way? So I think it's almost in our heads in a way that you think that maybe I won't be able to go to some extent just because I'm a girl and I won't be able to earn for myself. I don't think a guy of your age or our age will ask the same questions to themselves. I think we need to instill that confidence within ourselves, and to answer the question directly, I think it feels great. There's a lot of pressure, definitely, to there's a lot of responsibilities that comes along, but you feel this kind sort of freedom that you're making your own choices, you make your own decisions, and at the end of the day, even if it turns bad or good or whatever, it will be your decision at least, and you can carve your own life, and other people won't be making decisions for you. So yeah, those are two things I wanted to mention.
Right. I think, yeah, that's really important, because every time when I reach this corner of life where I start to question, like, my future and what can happen, how my society and functioning of my society has impact on my life, because be it you, be it Pooja, be it me, we're living in the same social construct as girls from Rukum who are fighting through child marriage, right? So the thing is, even though being an activist, I also go through similar kind of thought process. Maybe theirs is very intense, but I also have to go through in a certain intensity. And I think primarily, and I had this conversation with my friends a lot of time, because we are scared and we have reasons to be scared, and we're not confident because our society has given enough reasons to be not confident, right? So we had this conversation, and I think the primary thing that we can do to bring change is have confidence, like we just said, and maybe improve our lives, and then become example for other girls to look up to. And I think that's kind of more of a responsibility that we need to do, rather than like a choice. We have to do it. We have to, like, be the person we want to be, so that other can look up to us, and they can have a reason why they should fight, and maybe force confidence in themselves to be who they want to be. So, yeah.
I think Pooja also wanted to add something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really interesting question, right? I think first of all, what we all need to remember is, you're a social activist, but you're worried about same thing happening to you, same thing now, when something similar, or not being able to speak up when it's actually necessary. I think that more funny, Timi जस्तै हुन्थ्यो होला if I was back home. In fact, I think I would be a lot less confident, but then moving to this place has definitely given me a different perspective. I think women's right, how I'm supposed to be treated, equality, I think I've learned that more here. And मैले मेरो worth चाहिँ I've understood after I've come here. Okay, now I know no matter what, I'm not gonna be dependent on anyone. I'm not gonna make decisions that I'll regret. Maybe it but then major decisions of my life will be calculated, will be I won't regret it. I know, and it does feel great to be in this position, because I'm ready to be like, if life has to throw me off, and if I'm supposed to be homeless tomorrow, I'm down for that. I'm gonna kill it. I can be homeless and I'll still be confident. I'll go for it. Okay, like job खोज्ने के गर्ने हैन, I'll do it for myself हैन. त्यो levelको confidence is just impeccable. Okay, I think I can go to any part of the world and survive. And I just wish यस्तो environment नेपालमा भएको भए, अनि just people like you and maybe us, I know, who can like encourage each other, अनि एकअर्कालाई like हाम्रो worth के हो भनेर like remind गर्नलाई time and again, so that we can be this confident. Okay, like तिमीले भने जस्तो confidence super important. But what I think I can let you know is you're doing super great, I know. And if you come here someday, if you want to, you'll know where you're at, like for real. Our society go like against social construct and everything. We're always feeling what missing also feelings. Okay, but then you are worth it, and you don't have to be worried about the confidence. Like it's just difficult to be back home. I think I can't deal with Nepalko kuraru. I can't talk to like half my relatives. But here I'm like a free person and I love it.
So glad to hear that. Like when you said, "Oh, I can be free person," that was, I think, very, very strong.
Yeah. I really hope we can like create Stokhalka society for not just women, men or kuny afnai like struggles. Like child marriage ki kura garदाखेरि, there's as much as women go through all these
men
things.
go through the same.
Right?
Men go through, yeah.
So it's just
they
good
have to make the
everyone.
sacrifices. Yeah.
Right.
There is one more topic we could discuss, just a little bit of kind of an overview of what the status is like back here in US. There is child marriage. The thing exists here as well, and the data shows that I think only 4 states have illegalized the concept of child marriage, and 46 states still like don't have any rules that oppose the idea.
Over here?
Right.
Yeah. That is the I want to give a quick shout out to Sagyan, who is not here. He's the one who did this research, but that's really, really scary. And I think I remember watching this TED talk. I think it was regarding child marriage, and in US, so it does happen here as well.
Right.
And maybe as you said, the social construct might be different, the reasons might be different, but I just feel like the way, even like not just age, the way people think that a child cannot make decisions by themselves, and the need of these adults to meddle with a child's life is just unnecessary, and it does no good to anyone.
Yeah, I agree. And I think in America, I mean, child marriage, I think more than child marriage, I think early pregnancy exists more. And I think the damage child marriage does too, I think similarly early pregnancy also does. And maybe I would really appreciate if we could like give a little bit of insight on that, on early pregnancy.
Like मैले पनि हेरेको अनुसार चाहिँ it's mostly तिमीले त्यो runaway love category राखेको, it's kind of similar to that. यहाँ चाहिँ okay, even like conservative states हरूमा पनि like kids are like kids नभनौँ हैन, young people teenagers are sexually active like from like middle school and high school, and this is a big problem that US schools are like facing, especially a conservative states हरूमा त they deal it probably with marriage पनि like उनीहरुकोमा you cannot have a kid before marriage भन्ने like religious conservative families हरूमा त्यस्तो हुन्छ नि त. So probably because of that early pregnancy, very true, very big problem here. And because they're so religious conservative, they do want their kids to get married before the child is born. I actually do have few people I've seen उनीहरूले चाहिँ यस्तै राउट लिएको छ क्या द्याट they got pregnant and त्यसपछि they had to get married for that.
To
Yeah.
counter the one question is yeah, I'm sorry I interrupted. Is how are their life after having a kid? Like, do they have to give up on education or skills? Like, how does that work?
I would say not so much. Even if early pregnancy does like limit your boundaries, but Nepal compare गर्ने हो भने I think they do still have like a kind of right to make their own choices, and early pregnancy ko sabse thulo outcome I would say is single motherhood. That's one big problem that US is facing right now. That is one of the, but like just in retrospect, I don't think so much as not getting to work or not getting to see the outer world, just stay in the kitchen. That's not what it is. Even if they get even if there's early pregnancy and stuff like that. At least that's what I think. Pooja,
I think you
it's
are right.
Lot easier to take care of kids here. किनभने governmentले certain there's lots of things
allowance kind of
allowance and overall like the reason Americans have so many kids they want because government just make it so easy and your taxes are lowered अनि त्यसपछि अब यो कोभिड रिलिफमा नै लाइक बचाउनेहरूले कति धेरै पैसा एक्स्ट्रा पाए हैन अनि मेरो एउटा साथी छ उसको चाहिँ दुईटा बच्चाहरू छ उ चाहिँ 21 यहीँको होइन अनि उनीहरूको त्यो कपलले चाहिँ त्यही भन्छ इट्स सो इजी रेजिङ अ किड I don't know है उनीहरूको एउटा पर्सनल एक्सपिरियन्स I haven't talked to more people तर उनीहरूको लागि चाहिँ it was like super easy क्या 2 kids no problem they're doing pretty well but also because the guy has a very stable job in the military probably because of that too तर government बाट चाहिँ like एकदमै help पाएको छ अरे के उनीहरूले चाहिँ especially young बेलामा pregnancy भएर होला I don't know but it's fairly easier over here.
Yeah.
Right. That's I think for a country like America where they have like developed education so much and made it so approachable, right? And is it free education?
No, it's still not. It's still not.
Still not? Okay.
No. I don't think it'll ever be though. I don't think so. There's a long way to go. There's a long free ko ta kurai chhod do na education itself is so expensive. There's this hot topic of education loans, student loans and all of that. So it's gonna take a while. It's gonna take a long while, I guess.
Oh, okay. But I think I think in America there's not this culture that Buhari like school pataunu na that you shouldn't send your daughter-in-law to like maybe this
I can tell you something about this. Yako culture it doesn't matter mother-in-law family they don't live in families. It is really true that they get the fuck out of their houses when they're 16 17. It is true like almost everyone I've met except Asian Americans they're still like living with their parents but everyone else like they've moved out mostly immigrant kids are like Dominican or Hispanics but white black they move out and their life is their life and dad mom ko life after life so there's so many cases where like उनीहरूको wedding सबै marriage सबै हुन्छ हैन and they never see their in-laws after that so it's like a separate family after that which is a liberty but then we take pride in like having that family that closeness that people but then that works out for them but they're also lonely and depressed.
I think they should meet somewhere in the middle where there's just the right amount of interference from the family members and not so much freedom at the same time. But I don't think that perfect world exists anywhere.
I actually wanted to like find the points where it's so easy to have like be married and have kids in America and still continue your education and then have an income generating skill after a few years to come and not have that privilege in Nepal, you know. Maybe it's because in America there are resources to obtain that, you know, enough number of schools, approachable amount of jobs, you know. But maybe in Nepal, like maybe I wouldn't use the word maybe, I would scratch that. In Nepal, schools are not so available, resources are not available. There was one high school for 10 villages in Rukum, and students have to come to the school by walking hours, at least 3 to 4 hours. So in that, I think environment, I think getting education after having a baby is, I think, very challenging, because you have to look for you have to look after the baby for at least 3 years, right? Then only you can leave the baby alone. So I think because of those things, even after getting married and having a kid, their future is like kind of sent into very darker part of the, you know, darker
I
part.
Yeah, I do want to mention that if women back in Nepal want to get married, raise a family alongside continuing their education, that should be a choice. That's what I personally think. I know, because I remember when I was tutoring, I think she was about like 40, 50 years old lady, and she was taking an intro course in engineering. And she told me about, oh, my daughter is in high school and she's gonna go to college next year, so they would be like in college at the same time. So imagine this happening in Nepal. There's so much, I think there's this kind of mentality that you can only get education at a certain age, and then this particular age is for getting married, this particular age is for retirement. That's the society has set up the timeline for you, okay? But here, like, I mean, I wouldn't say like maybe सबैजना चाहिँ एकदमै accepting हुन्छ त्यो like for that thing. I wouldn't say that. There might be people who are like, oh, this is wrong. But overall, I think there's this environment, there's a space where you can go to college at any time you want, and you can do multiple things. You can multitask. And yeah, that's one thing I want to mention. And in Nepal, if women want to do that, it should be encouraged, and nobody should judge them.
Exactly. I mean, I want to share one personal story. My Didi, my eldest sister, and my mother went to college together. My mother was in grade 12 and my Didi was in grade 11 when they studied. So I think, like, if you want to go against the construct, it is possible, because my mother and Didi made that possible. And I think it's very important for women themselves to speak up for themselves and convince their in-laws that they want to be educated and therefore because it's all about that, isn't it? You need to get the education and earn for yourself and be independent and have voices for yourself. So I think, yeah, that's very important. You're right.
Also, Kipansa, the way they like take care of kids here is so much different than back home in Nepal. You give so much. I may notice that you just give so much time to your baby. Like moms, new moms, or you're expected to, that everything's about baby. Asti hamle last episode ma kura gare thyo haina यसको बारेमा, that उहाँको story was so similar to यहाँ मैले एउटा सुनेको story that के भन्छ, it's all baby care. After you have a baby word भन्दा नै त्यो दिन बित्छ अरे के. But then here it's so different. Like एक हप्तामा नै the same friend I'm talking about, she was able to like get back to work in a week. अनि हाम्रो नेपालमा कति महिनाको त्यो सुत्केरी बस्नुपर्छ भन्छ, like
I think it's 93 days.
Yeah, so if you have like a normal, उसको त अझ C-section गर्नु परेको हैन, त्यो पछि पनि like 1 week down, like she was like ready to like do stuff हैन. अनि the focus we give, like moms are supposed to give on babies, it's just, I think, unnecessary, because kids here live, they're healthy. But yeah, they do give very little time. And like very young age, they have like ways to like babysit or find people who can do that for them. त्यो privilege चाहिँ यहाँको मान्छेहरुसँग छ, so that they can go get back to work or they can go back to colleges. Nepalma actually because there's so many relatives and there's always someone who can help you with babysitting, but then why don't they do that? Like Mero Buhari school I'll babysit her daughter one. This is so this though we have family friends one, but like let's make like a better use of that, I guess.
Right. They're saying for that. That can be a hot topic in the society to gossip. Like,
right? That's true.
Women after they marry are defined by their husband and their baby. That's it. They don't have any individuality of themselves, at least in Nepal. Most women. Sometimes I remember, I don't know if this is like in any way related, but my mom is so invested in me and my sister that she loves us a lot. But I just want to know, like, what is her own, what is she without us, or what she would have been without us, and she doesn't have an answer to that. And I remember, like, when Kamala Harris became the president, she's 56, she became president at 56. My mom is 56, and I sent her the picture, and I was like, see, she became vice president at 56, like, there's a lot of things you can do. But she's like, no, like, I've lived my life in a certain way, and there's no going back. I mean, I cannot change it. So it's really sad that even, like, I think mostly, like, people our age, our mothers, I don't think they have any life beyond us, and that is really sad. Even if they work, even if they are like earning well, they don't have a life outside of marriage. That's really sad.
No, it's examples like that. I told you about the existence of that particular thing in the darkest corner of the room. Maybe it's not appreciable to us directly, but it existed. I think it's the truth like this that, makes us scarce time and again, like what if our expectation doesn't meet, and what if? So it's very important that we prove ourselves so that our kids don't have to ask this question, what if? We owe it to ourselves and to our future young generations.
Yeah. So I think we're almost at the end of our episode. It's been an hour. Thank you, Prashansha. Pooja, do you have any comments or any last remarks?
Okay.
No?
It was great.
Thank you so much for inviting me. And I mean, like, we've been planning this for what? So many months, right?
Yeah,
I remember
reached out
first
to you.
Approaching me.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels really great to finally, come
Wait, I have
to
a question.
Program.
Sorry. Keep on. So, like, what if you did mention a little about how, like, somebody like us can help you? Or like, how can we, or how can people listening can help or do something about this, about child marriage?
I think if you are in Nepal, and I think it starts from very basic level, and if you are a girl, the first thing is you need to empower yourself, because you need to become an example. And there are very few examples of ambitious girls who dream. A lot of girls, they don't see dream. I have so many friends who don't have dream. Like, their dad planned one future for her. She's following that. Right after she finished bachelor's, she's gonna get married. And then her husband or maybe her in-laws are gonna define what's a future for her. So it's so important for you to dream. It sounds really cliche, but please do that. And it's gonna help a lot of us. Be ambitious and work for yourself, work hard and be independent, because our young generation need to see independent women. Maybe us, we didn't get to see a lot of independent women because most of our mothers are housewives, and our kids, they need to see independent women. So dream, decide things for yourself. And to men, what I want to say is support women. This is a very vague and abstract concept that I'm telling you, but support women and support your classmates, and maybe have dreams for yourself. That is abstract, primary thing that you can do. In secondary, I do have a plan of a scholarship program, and I'm still looking for collaborators. So if there's someone out there who want to work on that, I'm really looking forward to scholarship program for girls in Rukum, where we are going to give scholarship to young girls to be educated and independent and therefore speak up for themselves. So that is another technical, straightforward, I think, help. Yeah, that's all.
So scholarship for education, like,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
after 12, like generally after 12, parents, they don't have money to finance the education of their daughters.
Right.
So what are they going to do with their daughter after grade 12? So they marry them off. So that is also another way they push their daughters into child marriage. So what if we can give them scholarship and make them, educated and make them financially independent, and they can be, example, in the village, and kind of create like long-term effect, sustainable effect. We can see
I
examples like. Mhm.
have a follow-up question. Okay, so you said after 12 they don't have money to educate their girls, but how come they have money to educate their sons? That
I
is
mean,
like,
yeah, that's society. They sell their kid. Do you know Goiri kid? Goiri
mm-hmm,
kid is one of the most fertile. Yeah. So that's just the one example. They sell their lands to educate their son, because son is gonna look after them, right? Because son
mm,
does not leave you, but then daughter does leave you. So
mm-hmm.
educating daughter is not such important. Son is important. So
So
that's a
almost like
very,
an
very. Hmm.
almost like an investment you're making.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's the reason. Daughters, like, we have brought up the concept of burden, or, and also threat, like budo boy when costly beat love in. So, so many things that goes into it, and finance is like icing on the top. Like, okay, we don't have finance to support her education, so let's marry her off. घर गृहस्थी गरेर त खान्छ नि, यत्तिकै माइतीमा बस्नु भन्दा त. So
Mm-hmm.
that is, and that's what I want to fight. That's where I want to break the chain, and
Mm-hmm.
give them scholarships, send them off to city, where girls can see possibilities that I am seeing right now, and what Pooja told, right? You can know your true worth. So, she knew her true worth after going to America. So I think it's very important for girls to bring up to city and make them realize what is their true worth. गाउँमा त के देख्छ र भन्नुहोस् त, एउटै गाउँ हो, एउटा स्कुल छ, एउटा स्वास्थ्य चौकी छ, खेत छ, बारी छ, त्यही साथी हो, त्यहाँ वर्थ एक कुराको पोसिबिलिटी देख्न त गाह्रो छ नि त. So it's very
Yeah,
important to bring them to city and show them what they deserve.
absolutely. Very well
That's
said.
what we need to change as well.
Mm.
Like city matter now, but like everywhere in general. It's a long, long way to go.
Yeah.
City matter, there's so much happening when it's too much. But hopefully we'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and it was a great, great conversation. We again, as usual, we touched so many topics besides child marriage, and I think that's great because everything's like interconnected. And yeah, it was great. You want to say something? You were saying something, Prashansha.
Yeah, it's very important. I think for the first time, for the first time, out of all the interviews, we kind of reached to very different angles of child marriage, because, it's important. At the end of the day, we're also girls, fighting with social construct that pushes us to marry, right? And I think that is very relatable to girls who are going through that. And that was very important from my side, that we touched that topic. Apart from that, very wonderful discussion, and very unique at the same time. So yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it. You're doing a great job through this podcast.
thank you, Prashansha. It was a pleasure to have you for this episode. And we're almost at the end. We will add the video where I think your first video on YouTube, right? Where
Yes.
where you just showcase everything. We will add the description. We'll add that in the description below. And maybe if you're okay, we can add your social media handles in there as well. And that's it. We'll see you for episode 14, 15 next. I don't remember what episode, but we'll see you guys the next episode. And till then, just keep listening to us, keep following us on social media, and you all have a great day. Bye.
Thank you, Prashansha. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.